Alright, so on the show today, we're going to start by discussing the big push for the real estate sector. The October to December quarter for real estate has anyway been better than expected, and of course a big boost over July to September. In fact, the latest numbers that have come out from agency Knight Frank put the sales of residential units in the top 8 cities, the top 7 cities, at 84% more than the previous quarter. But here it's important to remember that the previous quarter, the July to September quarter, was still in a mega slump. So the October to December numbers are already showing that the real estate sector is hopefully on track to a much brighter and happier 2021, and one of the key markets that is pushing those sales has already been in Maharashtra, Mumbai and Pune, aided by a 3% stamp duty cut that the state government announced last year. To add a cherry on top of the icing of the cake now has been a further relief announced by the Maharashtra government, which is slash in premiums, that is levies that the state government takes from developers for various segments. There are 22 segments in fact in Maharashtra where these levies are charged, and this has been slashed by 50% up to the end of December 2021, so for a full year. Just to give you a perspective, sometimes these extra levies or these premiums can account up to 25% of the cost of construction, so that would be a big booster. One hopes it will also be passed on to home buyers. To speak more on this and give us a perspective of what's up ahead for the real estate sector in the new year, I'm joined now by Hiranandani, President of ASSOCHAM, and Boma Nirani, VP CREDI MCHI. So welcome to the both of you, and thank you for speaking with us today. Mr. Hiranandani, let me start with your reaction. I hope the new year has been treating you well so far, and is this music to your ears?
Yes, it is music to my ears, and also especially the real estate, which has suffered in the last 3 years, has gone through so much downturn that I think some sort of ointment is finally on the industry, and also for the buyers of the industry. What you said was perfect, namely that the premiums were so high that the lowest cost of any building which was sold based on these premiums which were being charged was 10,000 rupees a square foot for the lowest cost of any project in the whole of Mumbai city and suburbs. So the extortionate amount of premiums were actually being paid by the buyers. So whatever is happening is definitely there. And that's why we are grateful to Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, the entire government, the entire machinery, the joint venture partnership of the polity, to agree not only to do the stamp duty cut, which has been by 3% up to 31st December and 2% up to 31st March, but also to add on this issue of premium. We've been asking for that for a long period of time, and hence I'm glad that it has come. Hopefully, the real estate industry, which has been going through a horrible time and a horrible mess, as you are aware, and you've mentioned it several times on your show, and we've talked about it, will get some relief and be able to bolster back and get back to action.
Mr. Irani, give us a sense of what is the extent of relief. So, for example, if you're looking at a property which is 10,000 rupees per square foot at the bare minimum, like Mr. Hiranandani mentioned, so what is the extent of relief which can be passed on in terms of pricing?
Question, but before that, may I just say I resonate everything Mr. Hiranandani just said. These charges or premiums are not the first step. I would like to begin by thanking our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Uddhav Thackeray ji, our DCM, Mr. Pawar, our Union Minister, Eknath Shinde ji, our Revenue Minister, and everybody, and above everybody, I would also like to thank our own Mr. Deepak Parekh, who has championed this cause with a proper paper that he submitted to the state government asking for these reliefs. Let me tell you, this is a step which is a win-win for the consumer, for my home buyer, for the person who aspires to have a home, who our Honorable Prime Minister has said homes for all is a dream, and we wish to fulfill it. I can tell you the home buyer gets a direct advantage because this comes with a rider that the developer will pass on, will not charge a stamp duty for his apartment. So that is a straight Going forward, 5% clear advantage to our home buyer. You have to understand also that this is such a big economic booster because with this you start getting homes which are more affordable. More importantly, you get about 250 industries that directly benefit from real estate. Do you know the kind of employment generation that real estate creates? And that is with the category 2, 3, 4 class workers. And finally, you've got, the GST collections, which will aid the state as much as it aids the economy at the center. This is a continuation of the proactive steps taken by the Maharashtra government, and I would reach out through your channel to all states to emulate this. And I'll give you reasons. The stamp duty reduction was first done up to 2%. We saw an up in the number of transactions by 4.11 lakhs, give some numbers beyond that. Last year, same time, we had about 8,44,000 registrations that took place in this quarter. This year, it's about 12.56 lakh registrations that took place. Your collections have gone up by almost 370 crores. The exact number is 367 something. In spite of a reduction in the amount of stamp duty or in the percentage of stamp duty charge. I think just this stamp duty reduction has given such a boost in the arm to all our home buyers that this makes it probably the best time for home buying in Maharashtra. And this, believe you me, will lead to Maharashtra again becoming the #1 state for investments coming from across from around the world. And I think our Honorable Chief Minister led and his entire team have done something remarkable, phenomenal, and I look forward to aligning with the state government and making sure that our consumers stand to benefit. And now to answer your question, let me tell you that when CREDA MCHI did make this appeal, we were asked this question by Honorable Chief Minister as well, and we had told him that this one-step reduction will at least see to a reduction of almost 15% in the prices, and over there he's already taken care of 5% by putting it on the stamp duty. So I'm just giving you a big answer to a limited question, which says that all of us at CREDA MCHI, all my developer fraternity are aligned to work towards the vision of this government, and we assure you that this will lead to Maharashtra once again becoming the most industrial in the country, most sought after.
One second, Mr. Rani. I understand the enthusiasm, but let me get this straight. The simple answer is we see a 15 to 20% cut immediately as relief for the end user, the end buyer. Is that the
what you have been seeing?
Sort of.
So you have to understand there is definitely going to be this reduction. You will not see it tomorrow morning, but what you will see is the developers who have been working have been providing incentives to all our home buyers in terms of getting structured payments done. You only make a booking up front and then the entire payment is subsidized by the developer till such time as the OC is given. These are all advantages that actually lead to a fiscal benefit for the home buyer itself.
That's fine. Mr. Hiranandani, can you give me a ballpark figure? Because it's all well and good, but here is a 50% premium cut. What does that translate into for home buyers, or will this now be used by the real estate sector to cushion themselves?
First of all, it's not about pushing themselves, Tamanna. It's about getting up from where they have fallen down to get back to action. So in reality, most of the people who are actually out of action will get back into action. Number two, remember, these are for the newer projects. So if my development is already on or permissions have already been received, this benefit is not available to me or to Rustamji or anybody else. So what is going to be beneficial is that the newer projects that are going to get approved, whether it's mine or anybody else's, will get the benefit of it. And what you're saying is correct. Between 5 and 15% is the kind of benefit that will immediately accrue to the buyer, to the home buyer, which will happen in the case of newer project. As far as the older projects are concerned, this benefit does not accrue. But the stamp duty benefit, which has been reduced, does come to the present buyer completely. But the future buyers will be able to get this benefit. And because of the rules being such that the stamp duty benefit has to be passed on by the developer to this, automatically a 5% benefit is definitely given to it, plus whatever is the reduction in the price. So that's the extent of the benefit which will accrue across the board for newer projects.
Okay, another thing that I want to understand is, and I've been hearing this time and again over the last few months, ever since the stamp duty cut came in, first 2%, then increased to 3%, that this has suddenly spurred people to go out and buy houses. Now, in the overall picture, that's quite a small cut. Even the cut that you're describing right now, 5 to 15%, is not a massive cut. Even if I take into account the lowered home loan rates, and put that in perspective with the kind of hit on the economy, the kind of hit on incomes, I'm still not able to clearly see where this demand is coming from. So, Mr. Hiranandani, if you can break it down for me, which segments are really coming and seeing buying? Is this the more affordable house category? Is it your 30, 40, 50 lakh category? Where is the buying coming from?
So, Tamanna, let me share with you. The affordable housing segment in India is 1.1 crore houses which are coming up, out of which 69 lakh houses are already pre-sold. So this category is definitely coming up, and that's a huge category which is coming up in the in the next 2 years. So that's one. Number two, the middle category is definitely doing a huge amount of sale. That has been definitely seen in the last 3 months. The higher categories have been seen more in the newspapers than in reality, because those numbers are so large and the price of those are such a large numbers, and they are iconic numbers, and hence they are more seen in the newspapers. But if you look at the quantity in terms of overall thing, it is the 1, 2 and now even the 3-bedroom apartments which are selling, but they are selling more in the suburbs, extended suburbs and the periphery of the cities rather than the downtown ones. But the news comes on the downtown ones rather than the others. So if you're asking me where the numbers are coming from, number one, they are coming with close to ready properties or ready properties, because a large number of buyers had lost trust and faith in the developers. So what they were looking for were ready properties or properties with branded developers who were sure to give the deliveries of the project. So what we have seen now in the last 3 months is that the ready projects plus those with branded developers did see this increase in the sales tremendously, and definitely no matter what you say about the reduction in stamp duty, that with the GST benefit, 5 plus 3 has given a huge fillip to the industry. It's not a small amount when you look at a 50 lakh house or a 60 lakh house, and 8% on a 60 lakh is almost 5 lakhs of rupees. It's a big amount of money. And if you count as far as the loan is concerned or an EMI, that means 4,000 rupees a month in savings in terms of the EMI. So it's not a small amount of money.
Absolutely, it adds up. Mr. Irani, your take on where the demand is coming from and how do you see 2021 panning out? Because if you look at the numbers a little more carefully, and numbers recently have been put out by Knight Frank and Anorak, so quarter on quarter, they look pretty good. But year on year, you are still about 20 to 25% down across markets, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. How long do you see the distance to getting back to pre-COVID levels, which, let's be honest, were also not great for the real estate sector?
So, Tamanna, let's answer this question. It's already been answered with the data that the industry has already put out there with regards to stamp duty collections. Like Niranjan Bhai just said, the highest number of collections or the highest number of sales and registrations that have taken place in the Borivali and Kurla markets, if I'm not wrong. And this actually shows you that it's the middle class that is actually going out there and doing very big buys. And even though those big numbers that flash on TV that, it's 1 lakh rupees a square foot, I mean, that has always been the sensational news with regards to real estate. What is very important to understand is that the average home buyer who's been waiting in the wings for a very long time is seeing this as a definitive opportunity because of a lot of reasons. One is the stamp duty reduction was there. Secondly, you had the advantage of the lowest possible home loan interest rates. Third is you had ready to move in inventory that a lot of developers put out there. Fourth, Our industry, guide, Mr. Deepak Parekh had mentioned to us that ready-to-move inventory should be kind of given at an attractive price. So a lot of developers paid heed to that, and also gave an advantage to the to the buyer. Where I see this industry in 2021, I think it has a very good chance given the government's present move. And I would reach out through your channel again, and obviously it's asking again to the government that maybe this 2% or 3% stamp duty also be given a longer life, along with the advantage that we are getting or the developers are going to be able to pass on to our home buyers with regards to the fact that the reduction in premiums will also become a reduction in the prices. I think the home buying sentiment is very strong, and I think I've said this before on various channels that Mumbai MMR, and I speak for this market, has got a phenomenal demand for homes just at that under the prices that developers are being able to achieve right now. And this was not being able to be achieved by developers only because they were paying very high premiums. We are open to each and every of the vagaries that take place with regards to approval processes, lengthening of time period of processes, multiplicity of processes. Now when more and more is happening, like the UDCPR, Tamanna, which I mentioned earlier, the unified DCPR makes it a definitive move to provide more affordable housing to the people.
I'm out of
supply
time.
demand constraints being what they are. When the supply increases,
All right. Let's see. The reason we cheer for the real estate sector, and I must say this to my viewers, is not just so that our developers who are on the channel right now have a good year ahead, but because, as was mentioned in the show, it's a huge employment booster. It boosts the economy overall and lift things up. And this sort of sunken situation in the real estate sector was also reflective and also impacting the economy over the last few years. So let's see if that really pulls up and crops up to have an overall buoyancy in the economy. Thank you so much. The other big business story that we are tracking today is the announcement of spec